Hi guys, welcome back. This is Tony Leonard for part 3 of this demo series. And first of all, I wanted to talk about how I applied some line art, and I want to thank a couple of ZBC users. Pablo Muñez Gomez, I believe, is the full name, and also ZBC user M4T30.8 had some interesting matte caps that I actually used to base a comparison on creating my own line art matte cap. And so I started off with something like a tri-shader and actually copied and pasted some of the matte cap into the shader and did a little bit of tweaking of my own. And once I applied it, I could sort of verify all of the details that were most prominent. And I went back onto the space mesh and added a few pieces of geometry, some kit bash parts of my own and by other various users, Vitaly Bulgarov being one and a few others, and came up with a finalized look design. And once you see this, it's actually not that difficult to adjust. I just copied and pasted into the shader, adjusted some of the cavity detection, and also changed some of the global lighting, ambient lighting, diffuse settings, and also cavity detection. Also went into the render and set up like the 3D posterize, like I'm pointing out here. And if that number gets too great, sometimes it adds a little bit more shadowing. So I just kept playing around with some of the numbers until I came up with a balance. And once I applied it, and when I do a BPR render, the rendering system that exists within ZBrush, it was very easy to just take that and save out two different Photoshop files. One being I saved the actual shaded BPR render, and the second was the actual mask. And so you see here I have a little bit more of a finalized look for this. So I turn the camera angle to sort of give me a dramatic view, save those out from the render properties, and open it up in Photoshop, and very quickly take the mask and apply that mask to the line art, filling the background with just white. And so I have a pure black and white image here. And I start to go through a process where I'm cleaning up the line art using a few action sets that I've actually made myself for regular hand-drawn line art. And so the process is pretty much the same. So if we're going to talk about the indistinguishable workflows in between hand-drawn and digital, this is one of those that actually literally carries over. And this is a straight up, black and white comic treatment. If anybody was doing comics or manga, or straight up doing some type of technical illustration that's in black and white, this is a great process. And what I've done essentially is taking the line art and the mask, use the mask as a selection. And so basically I'll copy and paste the mask or alpha into the channels, and then select the background, invert the selection, fill it with white, and then running my action, I'll separate the line art using a complex series of actions using quick masking. And once I have that channel selected off, it actually automatically fills the line art in black on a separate transparent layer. And then once I have that, I basically just have a blank background that is a white page with a transparent overlay that's just black line art fill. So in between that, what I'll do is I'll set up a layer and actually start going in using the cloning brush and using my own template for screen tone that I've made. I have like an actual cataloged file that has various line screens, and I'm applying those using the cloning brush. So docking that tone file over to the right hand side, as you can see, it's just like a nice stepped gradation in a very light tone percentage. I believe I can't remember which exact percentage. I think this one here that I'm showing on screen is probably one of my own customs, but it was made from gradients and then converted over to an actual line percentage. So once I apply it, basically I'm just using the cloning tool and sampling from one side and onto my art on the other. And I apply the screen tone and also some of my own hand-drawn and or Illustrator built onomatopoeias and word balloons. And the great advantage behind some of these coming from Illustrator, and this is like a well-rounded process of tools that I've probably put together, but I can take some of those onomatopoeias and word balloons and straight from Illustrator copy and paste them onto Photoshop. And I can do this in two different ways, one being pixels and the other being actually as an object, a smart object layer. And when I do that, what happens is the smart object layer, if I need to make any edits to the word balloons or anything like that, I can actually, right click them and choose to edit the content and go back to Illustrator, fix it or change it, and then bring it back to Photoshop. It should update on the fly. So after I've defined a lot of the look with screen tone and also cleaned up the line art, and since we've covered onomatopoeias and word balloons, which I'll probably mention again, I've also developed a technique of just using like a sample of decals from, like, say, like an actual model kit, and just a simple Google search actually produced something like this, but I use the decals here and there, small sort of lived-in details to paste onto the art. And I could do this in a couple of different ways, but I could either do it with the line art itself and then clean up that line art so that all of the aliased details actually come out as clean as the line art, which is probably best, or I can do it post, and then when I save the image out, one of the things about saving black and white line art as bitmap is that it again technically forces all of the pixels to convert from any type of gray or grayscale into a unified bitmap, and that is very efficient for most printers to print. It doesn't plug up any presses or cause problems, or depending on how much the artwork is actually being reduced. Generally, it stays pretty clean. So things to remember. And right about now, I'm just going around with an eraser on a separate sample. I did a couple of different runs with screen tone, but you can go through and do some erasing, get some nice contrast effects, and then when you're finished, you just save it out as a bitmap and send it to your printer, and it should work. So I'm going to keep going with this, and stay tuned for the next video. I'm going to actually do a couple of more samples with this and this process.